If I can have your attention, let's go to the Lord in prayer. The most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to take care of the business of the tribe. And just thank you for this nice weather that you have given us. And just be with our leadership of the tribe. And thank you for the veterans who gives us the freedom that we have. And just thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon our tribe. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Jody Fishinghop. Chuck Huskin Jr.
Here.
Bill Anglin.
Here.
Jack Baker. Joe Bird.
Honey.
Julia Coates. Here. Meredith Fraley. Janelle Fulbright. Present. Tom Garvin. Frankie Hargis.
Present.
Hannah Glory Jordan. Lee Keener.
Honey.
Dick Legg. Curtis Snell.
Here.
David Thornton. David Walkenstick. Kara Watts. We do have a quorum.
All right. Entertain a motion to approve the June 27th minutes.
Make a motion to be approved.
Council
Second.
Baker, Council Hargis, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We'll now move to reports. I'd ask reports to be limited to questions for the folks giving the reports unless there's something you need to add. Treasurer. Any questions for the treasurer? Councilor Watts.
Thank you. We received an audit. I think everyone received it. It was just something that was put in the mail to me from the council office. So there were a number of audit issues that were brought forward. Could you talk to me, Treasurer Horn, and explain how those are going to be resolved going forward?
Depending on the specific finding that you're referencing, some have already been resolved,
Okay.
some are in the process of being resolved. All of them have a final resolution date of 9/30.
Okay, September 30th. Will you give us a written report then about how they've been resolved?
I can probably do that.
Okay. So, like, I guess is the day work still outstanding?
Yes.
Okay. And then, on the day work issues, really quick, is there a way to pay them other than those cards? Or, I know this has been evaluated, there was a decision made, it's probably always evaluated, but what are the other options we could do besides those cards to pay folks?
This is a question that gets brought up often, and if you would allow me to, I'd like to sort of formulate my thoughts on this and refresh my memory on all the issues surrounding it. But it's a way to provide what I understand the need of the program to have immediate payment, so that individuals can have immediate compensation or stipends. We have to be careful because we're also straddling a bridge on the general welfare exclusion regarding the taxability of these benefits to our participants, and so we have to be very careful. We shouldn't be issuing checks in people's names. We have to really watch ourselves closely there. So if you would just allow me to refresh my memory on all of the surrounding issues, and I could report on that in committee.
One of the most recent concerns that came up with an individual constituent was they needed to pay a landlord in order for them not to be homeless. And this was the only method of like cash or whatever that they did have. So she was a single mom. I had no way of, I had no alternative solution for her. There was nothing. It was the different. I guess she had like 3 or 4 of these cards, and she had earned enough money to pay whatever that was concerning her landlord, but they wouldn't accept them, and so she was in this limbo where she couldn't get into a home and was still in her car, her child. So maybe if there's any way, and especially they can't drive. If the suggestion is to drive to Tahlequah to get them cashed in order to do that payment, then that would consume at least one of those days of work with their gas. So if there's a way to remotely also address the issue. Does that make any sense?
I'm not going to say that's the first story that I've heard of that nature.
Well,
And we have to remember that this is a job training program. This is not employment. And so this is a stipend to help them cover, any reasonable and necessary expenses that they have. Again, I'd love to refresh my memory on all the surrounding topics concerning this, and and bring that back to you.
The other questions I had was, do you have a full comprehensive projections on cost and how we're gonna pay for it, whether it's out of Cherokee Nation government's budget or CNB's on the $100 million healthcare expansion plan? Do we have an idea of what it's gonna take to actually do that and what the cost to the nation is going to be?
As far as, I know that the plans for each individual facility are still being developed. So determining the cost estimates for each facility, new or expanded. And I would likely prefer that Sean Slayton address that, how the cost flow is going to go through, because that's going to be handled on CNB's side. That won't be flowing through to the nation, with the exception of equipment. And so equipment will be paid for on the nation's side.
Because I think when some of the original presentations were done, it was that CNB would essentially carry the note and Cherokee Nation would pay for it, would pay that note back. So we're not paying
I don't think
CNB
that
back?
there's a note involved.
Okay, so I guess at the end of the day, I can't explain this to my constituents. So when will we have a presentation from the CPA types that says, this is how we're gonna pay for it, this is what it looks like, and here's the cost to who and who has liability? So there's the upfront capital cost, our operating cost, and I can't answer them right now, and that's frustrating.
We can certainly get that together.
Okay, and then how do you feel about our cash flow at this point?
Feeling great. We've got a lot of cash in the bank. We're doing really well.
Okay, what about CNE not making revenue recently and such, or they're projected, so we're fine? If
Yes.
if everything, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Byrd.
Yes, and be anticipating a budget modification of some kind for the Cherokee fire dancers that we had at one time here at the Cherokee Nation. This is through David coming here. Their budget has been slashed tremendously in the past 7 or 8 years. We were the model firefighters at one time. We sent those people all over the United States. I had a discussion with him today. I said, I heard about other tribes sending their people to Colorado to help out with the circumstances of other states. He says, we don't go anymore. I says, how come? He says, we don't have the budget. I said, what's the deal? He said, there's only 2 of us left. And that's a little bit disturbing when we had a model program at one time. So be expecting a budget to come to you to revamp our Cherokee fire dancers. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further questions for the treasurer, Counselor Crown Watson, Counselor Keener?
Thank you. I appreciate Councilman Burt bringing that forward. I understand that we're even in does the BIA owe us a significant amount of money, which is why that program that Mr. Cumming-Deer has been clamped down?
It's my understanding that the BIA keeps reducing the funding in the contract.
Okay, so, and I guess this isn't, I'll wait for Bruce Davis, but at some point, they feel a need that hasn't gone away. So I guess what is the long-term strategy for the administration on how we're going to fulfill that need, whether we get funding from the BIA or not? And I thought we were close to $500,000 that we were behind BIA paying us on that program or such. I don't know is that what you
Yes,
understood?
the Bureau has come back on funding. If that's the case, let's renegotiate this, and we may have to supplement that budget somewhat. But this is too good of a program not to be out there for.
Thank you, Counselor Crown Watson. Counselor Keener?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Treasurer, on the Pelivan, about a month ago, those services were cut as well to elders. It was medical ride. So is that part of the sequestration, or how was that decision made?
I'm not aware of the services being cut. I remember that they were temporarily suspended and then they were immediately turned back on.
Well, I called Pelivan Friday, and they said it was only for medical rides.
Okay.
So they haven't been informed that there's money available.
Okay, this is an issue that I'm talking about several months ago, and so I'm not aware of this recent one, but I'm happy to talk to Michael Lynn and get answers for you.
Okay. And also on the next year's budget, is there any, are you looking at salaries for employees? To make that more or anything like that?
For which particular employees?
All CN employees?
For Cherokee Nation employees? Obviously, there's hard to fill positions in every department, and, you know, departments are always looking at trying to get their people paid at market or close to market. I mean, I know that we're never gonna, you know, be able to, you know, go all the way there, but
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, council. Any further questions for the treasurer? Okay, no, thank you, treasurer. All right, then we go on to Mr. Slayton, Cherokee Nation Businesses. Any questions for Mr. Slayton? Councilor Lane.
Yes, thank you. And I kind of waited for Sean to step up, and the treasurer's still here. I wonder if you two could kind of get an idea for me or a summary. If we raised the Cherokee Nation minimum wage, say $1 an hour over 3 years, what kind of an impact would it be to both the tribe side and the city?
We just have to go back and look at that, but we can get that together.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further questions for Mr. Slayton, Councilor Cone Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sean, what are we doing to address CNI's budgetary issues?
Well, we've got several different things going on, and things that will be starting. First of all, they have shown improvement beginning, I believe, with the April numbers. Their backlog is continuing to grow, but what we're really trying to do is look at focusing and repositioning that company for the next 30, 40 years. And we will be rolling out some things to try to address that over the next 60 days. So we'll begin a comprehensive overview of the job market out there, of the technology and where that's headed, and the different spaces that they play in to see if maybe a repositioning into other areas is what's needed. The market that they're competing in, the other competitors have taken the labor to Mexico and China, and it's been really difficult for them to compete on a bid situation with that labor market. So we're looking to maybe develop a new product channel for them.
Now, just refresh my memory, so with the prior facility and then the Woodmark, that would be under CNI, right?
Yeah, they're both under CNI. They're both doing good. We've had several new opportunities to look at come our way just within the last 3 weeks that have a lot of potential and legs, and we're vigorously pursuing those.
So does the Woodmark purchase, does that get booked under CNI, or is that a CNB owned facility and it's leased out?
That's a CNB asset leased to CNI.
Okay.
They figure the cost of that building into their price that they've negotiated with TGI. So, in a sense, TGI's.
Okay, and if I read my financials right, it looks like CNE's $2 million down unfavorable to budget.
As of the June numbers, that could be. We've put almost $2 million into road improvements that weren't budgeted at Ramona.
Okay.
For the state highway to try to improve the safety there. And also the road project that you drive through at Fort Gibson. The way the accounting rules are is those are not projects that we can put on our books. So we basically just have to expense those.
Okay.
Periodically, the gaming.
I think it was
Well,
revenue that was unfavorable to budget, and the expenditures were up 4%, I think.
Will go up and down based on seasonality. Last year, we had a great June because it was 105 outside. This June, it was, mid 80s, low 90s, and people tend to take advantage of that outside. So we're still up over last year, and got a very strong company. We have 80 million in the bank, and or have 80 million in cash. So we're doing good.
So it looks like Bill B and IT did really well, but should we be concerned about CCRC missing their budget and the impact on HWH and the $100 million?
No, that just had to do with the timing
Okay.
issues of some of the contracts that they were working on, anticipating getting started. But they're doing very good too.
I have 2 more questions. There was the announcement about the Texas project. And I asked you about who the gentleman was.
Mhm.
And so how many Cherokee citizens are associated with that project that will be getting employed down there?
Don't know the specifics of the
Could you
project.
get that back to
Sure.
us? And do you have any, the business case yet for Woodmark and Cherry Springs and the adjoining farmland?
Woodmark, we did the business case for Woodmark when we bought it. For Cherry Springs, we're in the process of putting together a feasibility study on that to see what would be the best use of that.
Okay,
property.
so who is baling the hay out there? That's the Tahlequah question. I apologize. There's a third.
Sure. No, I believe it's realty. You would have to
Okay.
talk to, or natural resources, maybe Bruce State.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further questions, Madam Speaker?
Well, I heard a question earlier, and I just wanted to make sure we don't have a concern here. The question had something to do with C&B not making revenue, and how does that impact the overall cash flow at Cherokee Nation? The ups and downs that you have with your business has never affected the dividends that come to Cherokee Nation, have they?
No, it's legislated, and, the company's strong. There's no issue.
Okay, so you're just continuing on with our expansions, continuing on with creating a business environment to continue keeping that bottom line up.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Slade? So, thank you. We now move to career services.
Oh, I do have one more
Yes,
to
ma'am.
address with Sean,
Yes.
if I could, I didn't mean, cut Diane off. Sean, just previous to this meeting, you and I met, and I gave you some recommendations made by the working group dealing with some of the comp issues.
That's correct.
Okay, and you're going to work on that this
Yes.
month with your
Staff.
staff and come back and talk to us in a month or so?
Absolutely.
Okay, just so if there's a question, our group did meet, and we are talking with Mr. Slayton about that.
Very good. Counselor Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we going to get a copy of this suggestions or?
No, it's in working stage right now. When we get a little further down the road, after he's had a chance to talk to his people, then we'll come back and talk to the working group. Mr. Thornton, Mr. Garvin, Ms. Fulbright, and myself got together before this meeting. So
Thank you.
it's a work in progress. Thank you, sir.
All right. Ms. Kelly, does anyone have any questions for Diane? Okay. Frank?
I just wanted to commend Marcy Harris at Still. I understand she's got 26 GED completers this year, and that's a really good number. She hasn't beat my goal yet, but she's doing really well down there. I just want to commend her.
Okay. So that would, you would need to bring that in education. Okay. I just wanted to do a word of clarification. I was taking notes back there. I believe it was Councilwoman Watts that brought up a store here in Tahlequah that was cashing the day training checks. There is a particular store that will cash those here in Tahlequah, and that may be why somebody would drive down here. But they ran out of money last Friday. Thank somebody for helping us out. But there is a store here in Tahlequah that will cash them. A lot of the stores have the machines where they scan the cards, and in that particular store here, they will cash them, and they have to take the time to do the paperwork to send it all in. A lot of stores don't want to do that, so that's probably why they would mention that. Also on the Cherokee Fire Dancers, I believe it was you, Councilman Burr, the Cherokee Fire Dancers are under Tara. David Raybon is with a fire program, fire prevention, which is the BIA. We are the ones that are with the Forest Service. We go externally outside the state of Oklahoma. David's program is with the BIA lands, and they work within the restricted area here. But the Cherokee Fire Defense Force was through the Terrell office. And Derek Meggs is the coordinator for that.
Haven't heard much about them.
The reason you haven't heard much about them is because we were one of maybe 2 or 3 tribes in the state when we first started. And just about every tribe in the state has a fire prevention program through the Forest Service now. And they do a rotation so that whenever there is alarming fires out on the west coast or up north, they will rotate and they call different tribes. And some of the tribes have several fire leaders, and we have a girl that's being tested to be certified, but we don't have a fire leader at this point in time that can actually go out with them. We did have some that were jumpers that could jump out of the plane, and some of those guys have gotten older and they don't do that anymore. And we haven't been, because of the rotation, some of them don't want to go out because they don't get calls as much as they did before, but we still do have the fire danger problem. I think we've got 2 crews.
Madam Speaker, you had a question?
Diane, on the cards that are given to the day work participants, what bank do we get those from?
Bank of America.
Okay. Is there not a way that, because Bank of America is in a lot of our areas, is there not a way that, well, maybe I'm wrong.
They just shut down their Tahlequah branch and their Muskogee branch,
Well, are they in the areas up north?
likely around the Tulsa area.
Okay. I'm wondering, will they not cash those cards and give them money?
If they call the number on the back.
Do we need to be getting our cards from somewhere else that has branches in each of our 14 county locations?
If you want the cost of the program to go up significantly. We get each individual card from Bank of America for an incredible deal.
Well, what's an incredible deal? Lower than it was 2 years ago?
Yes, I
Okay.
negotiated it down $2.25 lower than what it was when I came in.
Well, that's pretty incredible. That is good.
So at this point, since I've been here, we've saved $100,000 plus just on buying cards.
Would there be a way that maybe we could set up places that they could be cashed in our different districts so that, because it's even a problem here because people are trying to pay rent and utilities, and most of the places won't take those cards for some reason. Why, I don't know. You buy these cards out at Walmart and load them up, and I guess they take them everywhere, but there's something about our cards that they're not willing to cash them. We need to give them more outlets to cash the cards so that they can go use the money for whatever they want. I fully understand that if we give them a check, it's got their name on it, it creates a 1099, and it defeats the purpose of it being a training program. I understand that. But I know they're having a hard time, even to the point that some of them sell it to their friends for less than face value just to get the cash.
And believe me, I have beat this question up every which way, trying to think of ways to get that done. The overriding issue on this is the Patriot Act. The bank.
We can't just give them cash at our, instead of them lining up to get their cards on Friday, is it Fridays, Diane?
It's Thursdays, Fridays, and we
Okay.
do payouts every day.
Instead of doing the cards, we can't just pay out in cash? Is that a problem?
That would have a lot of internal controls surrounding it that we would have to really work out.
Because what I'm seeing is there's this business developing underground where the cards, if it's a $50 card, they're only getting $40 for it. Or they may only be getting $30 for it. Depends on how desperate they are for money that night. and they've got a card, but they don't have cash.
They always have the option of calling Bank of America. They can call the number on the back of the phone, on the back of the card.
And what does that get them?
It gets them to someone where they have to give over their personal information, their personal identifying information for the Patriot Act. So they have to give their social security number.
And that's why most of them are not
Bank of America
doing
will
it.
issue them a check. I mean, it's just an additional step. And I understand the turnaround is a week or so.
Have we done some checking with like Arvest or some of the other banks to see if we could get the same deal?
We have checked with other banks to see if there are programs that would meet that type of need that you're describing. They're all going to come back with the exact same answer.
Well, I know you're in a dilemma because I understand yesterday from watching TV that every piece of mail in the United States now is photographed, so they know every piece of mail you mail out in the whole world if you're mailing it out in the United States. And apparently they know everything's set on everybody's telephone, so I doubt that there's any secrets to who's got the little credit cards that they get from Cherokee Nation anymore. It just seems like we've got to figure out something. I don't want to go back to the days when they got money over at Muskogee because they were Cherokee and they'd step out of the building and they have a check or a deed and somebody buys it for them for a nickel on the dollar. I don't want to go back to those days. And it seems like those cards are really diminishing. From a standpoint of control, they're good for us, but it's diminishing their ability to use them, and we just need to figure out we need to figure out a better system. And I don't know what that is, and I'm glad y'all are tasked with that. But I would like for you to come back next month and give us some options.
Okay. May not like them.
Huge undertaking, but you two get together and try to figure out what we can do to make it easier
Is this our
for
third
the
time on this done again?
end consumer.
I'll put somebody out
I'm
there.
at dust occupation.
All right, to keep as best we can on schedule, we've got one more question from Councilor Fulbright.
Yes, thank you. This really does need to be addressed because in Sequoia County, there's only one place that will cash the cards, and they charge them $5 for each card, and they may be paid out in a $25 card, and it won't all be $50. So it's really a ripoff if they have no alternative because they need to pay their rent. And we've discussed this before, but, you know, I was wondering about Armstrong Bank. I mean, it's more local. They've got 23 banks spread out around northeastern Oklahoma. So just try to check around and see if, even if we had to pay more, it's a real inconvenience to these people. I mean, it is a bridge to permanent employment, but in the meantime, they're surviving and trying to keep their family going on it. It's not just to buy a little gas and go out and hunt a job. I mean, this is the it. I mean, they need that $50, not $45. It's a real problem.
Mr. Chair, I just want to announce that we do have a job fair going on this Wednesday in West Salem Springs. We are partnering with Cherokee Nation businesses, and in conjunction with what Mr. Slayton said, we are working with the staff, and we are doing some specialized training programs for them. We have culinary arts going on over at Muskogee this week, and we are going to be starting some complete certification for phase 1 and phase 2. So just want to let you know that that's going on this Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Next, we have Converse, Anna Knight.
Morning. You do have a copy of my report. I just have 2 quick announcements. I dropped a stack of invitations when I was coming in here, but the Spider Gallery at the grand opening is going to be July 31st at 11 o'clock, and I'll get you all those invitations, and that's at the Old Court Mall here in Tahlequah. And then I do want to give you advance notice that the Northeast Oklahoma Regional Summit will be October 8th and 9th at NSU this year. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Anna? All right, thank you. Next, we have Cherokee Nation Foundation. We have a representative. Okay. All right, next we move to consent items, tarot certifications. I believe what we have is in the packet. Second by Councilor Baker, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next, we have cemetery restoration assistance applications.
There is a new handout that Gail just,
Okay, do hit that in this packet, go to change it out. We have a motion to approve that.
Can we have just a second? to
Certainly,
get it?
certainly.
Uh, Our ending balance is $428, is that right, Josie?
yeah, I believe.
But this
it-
budget mod will put some more
Yeah,
in it.
yeah.
And somewhere in the scheme of things, in maybe Mr. Lay's meeting, or I think it was your meeting, we have some thoughts on policy, I believe some policy
Okay.
changes.
Okay. Yeah, the budget model for that will be in mine's package, so. All right.
We have a motion by Councilor Harris, second by Councilor Baker, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, we now move to community assistance, updated list has been passed out, with the packet that had the cemetery list. Any additions to this list? All right. Entertain a motion to approve the list that's been handed out. Councilor Byrd.
Second.
Councilor Harris, second. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Now move to law enforcement requests.
That one did not change.
Change, it's in the book. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Councilor Harris, do we have a second? Second by Councilor Snell. Before we vote, any additions? Law enforcement, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, now move to roads.
The packet, that there was changes from the packet, and I emailed out a revised list on Thursday, which Shelley handed out earlier in the meeting. And we also have another revision, which I handed out before the meeting, that has some additional roads for Councilor Lady Watts and Councilor Keener. That,
Can you just name all the revisions?
okay, it's King Road, motor vehicle tax, Watts, 118,667, Keener, 118,667. Hulagal Streets, Phase 2, motor fuel tax, Watts, 72,178, Keener, 72,178. East 450 Road, motor vehicle tax, Watts, 59,334, Keener, 59,333. South 4200 Road, split between motor vehicle tax and motor fuel tax, but the motor vehicle tax is Watts 33,312, Keener 27,287. Motor fuel tax, Watts 29,034, Keener 29,034. And I'd also did the totals, motor fuel tax for Watts is 101,212, Keener 101,212. Motor vehicle tax was 211,313, and Keener 205,287. That would deplete both of their motor fuel tax and motor vehicle tax funds.
So with that amended report, motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Councilor Garland, Councilor Anglin, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We'll move to sports team applications.
There is a revised list that Gail just handed out on that.
Revised list. Any changes to this revised list? Motion to approve this revised list.
Motion to approve.
Councilor Hargis, do we have a second? Second by Councilor Byrd, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Speaker, I don't know, we did have one question that's came up on this sports team is the 50% versus 51%, and I didn't know if the speaker wanted to address that.
Yes, that was what I was trying to find. We have a team that applied that is every child is Indian.
Correct.
They're exactly 50% Cherokee and 50% Katuah.
Madam Speaker, tie goes to the runner, so they get
Well, I told them to
If
go
it's
ahead and
helpful, all
apply,
three
and I wanted
coaches
to.
are Cherokee, so we kind of use
Yeah,
that
and the
as our
three
tiebreaker.
coaches are Cherokees. But I wanted to bring it to the committee because you would be asked to be, I guess the question is, do we include the coaches? If we include the coaches, then it's not a tie. If we don't include the coaches, then it's what the pleasure of this committee is. So,
I would suggest liberal application of these rules, and since it's been disclosed here at committee, everyone knows what we're approving. There's no after the fact, why did this get approved? I would encourage approval.
I would too.
are they even on here?
Well,
I know they
remember the
went
name.
ahead
I'll
and
have to
filled
go
their
get it, but-
application. I
right.
told them to go ahead and fill the application out. I do not even know what county they're from. Gail called me about it, and I said that is a question for this, for the committee to consider. I know that before, when it was over there, sometimes they would count a coach so they could get past the 51%. I think that's a bad practice, because I think it's for the kids, not for the coaches. But if it's 50-50 and it's still 100% Indian, I thought that this should be brought up to this committee to see if what you want to do with it. I don't know if they're on here. I guess we better ask Gail. Diane, will you ask Gail to come in here and tell?
While we're waiting, we had a couple of people with questions. Councilor Thornton?
Yeah, when you say 50% Indian, I can see,
No, they're 100% Indian, 50% Cherokee and 50%
I
Katuah.
can say 50% Cherokee and 50% Katuah is a recognized Cherokee tribe. So they're 100% Cherokee, if that's the case. But I can see maybe not if they were 50% Cherokee or 50%.
I'm gonna have to defer
Plains
to
Indian.
Gail, because Gail was the one that told
I'm
me that.
going to make a motion based.
I'd say.
With the motion in a second, but we're in discussion.
Okay, wait a minute, we may not have a problem. It's
They end up getting one more.
Okay,
That's why we have to put them on, they're on there, so they can come up.
so, all right. But you may have these kinds of things come up, and when you do, I'm gonna suggest that it be brought to this committee. And then that can be done on a case-by-case basis, so that it's not me making these decisions, it's your sports teams, well, and my sports teams do. But I want you to know about some of these
I
things.
do have one. You have like
Yeah.
a tennis team,
Yeah.
that's just 2 people. Now that's a team. So I'm just letting y'all know.
Is that
Sometimes
coming
you're
to
gonna have,
us?
there's one that the ladies haven't sent it in yet, but she's going to, but a team of tennis is 2.
And these are
So,
sports teams. We'll
and you
have
might
to see
have
if
golf
they
teams
meet
that
our,
are 2, 3,
we'll have to see if they meet our,
and fishing
the rest
teams.
of our,
Mhm.
you may at some point, depending on availability of money, we kind of talked about that, we may have to be a little more, you're on the honor system now of what's kind of considered a team. But there may come a day that you all as a group may say, well, here's what we're going to define sports teams at. But right now, if these things come up, we'll have them fill the papers out, we'll bring it to you all to see if it warrants your approval.
Yeah, I see one of them fishing team.
All right, well,
That's going to be coming, I
Little
said.
kids,
Yeah, they're young
because now
kids.
we're just dealing with,
It's just 18 and under.
okay.
all right, we're still in discussion on we've had a motion in a second. Now, Councilor Crown Watson, do you still have a question?
No, I withdraw,
Okay, that's
thank
been
you.
withdrawn. Councilor Burton?
I'm good now. I didn't think that was the issue. I think when they say hello, they say CO, when they say thank you, they say Liddell. These people that we're going to fund, kind of with Council Thornton.
Very good.
And we're still good on money, guys. I mean, it's just that now we're actually using it, so it's,
And we're seeing the issues come through our office now,
and we're
and
trying
being
to,
able to address them.
and if it's an unusual issue, it will come to this committee.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
okay. And I guess we've already approved these sports teams. I took a vote and have now forgotten it.
And I guess that one team's on there, right?
Yeah, Gail said it was on there and
they got another player, so it's not
Okay.
50%.
Well, they needed an odd number anyway.
It's the middle one. I remember the lady's name was, last name was Green, so that
Okay.
answers your
All right, livestock premium show applications, is that,
There was no changes on that.
no changes? Do we have
I'm sure
do we have a report? Are there applications to be approved?
You shouldn't probably have
No,
another
all
application
the money is
until
not.
September.
Very good. And we now move on to old business. Our first item of old business is item number 1, discussion with respect to tarot fees. Councilor Watts.
This continues to need to be tabled. I was not able to schedule a meeting before this, and I believe our attorney is doing some other work. So I'd ask the committee, please accept my motion to table for one more month.
Motion table, we have a second. Second. Second, Councilor Baker, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Old business item 2, discussion, possible action with respect to charitable contributions. Madam Speaker.
I think we've just got about every charitable contribution out except a couple. Now, there was some email, Dick, you had a concern about one. Did that get taken care of?
I'm not sure, I think we're still working on it.
Okay.
We got the W-9, and so I just signed the form to be processed today. So that one is taken care of.
Okay, well,
And I would like to, if possible, keep this on for one more month. It seems to be working if we carry it from month to
Motion
month.
table in a second.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Very good. We're now at new business, we're at item number 1. Madam Speaker, your neighbor there is not present. Would you table that for a month? Or?
Yes, I would.
All right, we have a motion to table, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second, Councilor Hardis, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. We're at new business item number 2, an act with respect to budget modification. Madam Speaker, would you take that?
This is an act amending Legislative Act 3712, authorizing a budget mod number 11. And Jody, would you explain, I'll defer to Jody to explain, I'll put that in form of a motion.
Motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second, Councilor Hardis. Yes, Mr. Reese.
This is the shortest one I've had since I've been here. There's actually only one budget for approval, self-governance adult education, modification requesting increase in expenditure authorization of $17,660. Revamp the GED testing sites per the state of Oklahoma requirements. I recall Diane talking about this previously, that it was coming up. So it's being funded $25,000 from DOI self-governance carryover and reduced estimate and fees of $7,340.
Move for the approval.
Okay, I think we had a motion in the second already, but anything further?
No.
Very good. All right, this is an act by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Second.
That's already been seconded. We've already had a motion in the second. Thank you, Councilor Watts. All those opposed, same sign. All right, we now move to announcements. Any announcements? All right, motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.